Today on the Growth League podcast, my guest is Michael Ackley. He is the director of franchise marketing at Ascent Hospitality Management. And his exclusive focus is driving everything as it relates to Fran Dev for Huddle House and Perkins. Based in Nashville, Tennessee, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to chat with you. I always like to start this way, Mike. Is it all right if I call you Mike?
Of course, yes.
Okay. I'd like to start this way, giving our listeners just a very high level summary of what your journey has been like from sort of the beginning to now in marketing leadership. Give us the Coles notes on that.
Sure. So I didn't go to school for marketing. I went to school for literature. And rather than end up in my mom's basement, I decided to become a journalist. I was always interested in storytelling, and I thought that the best way to become a writer, to tell stories, was to become a journalist. And I started in local newspapers. I worked in Asheville. I went to Austin, and then I moved to Nashville. And then I was working as a beat reporter in Franklin, Tennessee, and a reader of that paper was named Thomas Scott, who owned a company called Brand Journalist, which was a franchise marketing agency. And he lured me into that agency with the promise of doubling my pay, because if you know anything about journalism, you know that uh, rice and beans every night, and you have no money for anything. So it didn't take too much convincing, but I didn't know anything about brand dev at all, or the franchise industry. I knew, that McDonald's existed. I knew that, Burger King was a franchise. But my first assignment there was I had to call a bunch of Planet Smoothie franchise owners and find out why they decided to become Planet Smoothie franchise owners. And I was like, this is journalism.
Yeah,
Um, and this is storytelling. And I've been hooked ever since, because it's become something that I'm so passionate about. Like, these are real people that own real businesses, and there's a reason why they did it. And that's been the secret to my success in this industry, is just, you know, being curious about why people do this, and, um, believing that franchising is a great vehicle for their entrepreneurial talents.
that's great. So you got
Yeah.
this opportunity to not let what you were focused on earlier in your career go to waste. You had a way to leverage that to kind of create a bit of a superpower in the role that you're in today, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it also makes me really good at, editing press releases and things like that
Yeah,
now.
totally. You
Yeah.
talked you talk a little bit about being passionate about understanding how people tick, and specifically why do people buy franchises? What are one or two of the things that you've learned in terms of what would call somebody to this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for every single brand. While I was at Brand Journalist, we got to work with hundreds of brands, and all of them have different personas that they're going after. They all have different people that make up their top performers, and the reasons why are various. Um, but on a general note, I think that, especially for now, people are tired of corporate America. They want to build something of their own. They want to get out of the rat race. And franchising is a safer way to own a business or enter business ownership, than start on your own, because there's the template, right?
Mhm.
So that's why that's been, I would say, the majority of people that I've spoken with over the last, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Then of course, there's people that want to, own businesses with their families and build a legacy. There's people that want to, diversify their portfolio. And then there's, big groups that want to buy
Yeah.
everything that they can.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's pretty cool. You get to play a role in these people in certain cases, sort of realizing a like a family dream come true. And I'd imagine there's a lot of new Americans too that get the opportunity to
yeah,
benefit from this, and you have a hand in that.
for sure. I mean, and that's, I think franchising is where the American dream still exists, and it's still, and it's something that franchising doesn't get a lot of credit for, because franchising doesn't have a great like PR behind it. Like for example, there's franchising when it comes in the news, it's usually in that John Oliver way, where it's like, oh, Subway, is this company that is, taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
But the reality is like a lot of franchise companies, and especially the ones that I've gotten a chance to work with, they're so passionate about helping entrepreneurs succeed. Um, and entrepreneurs are drawn to the franchise industry because they can succeed there. There's a roadmap for success there.
Yeah.
So I wish that story was told more because I've seen it over my last 12 years in this industry, hundreds and hundreds of people who have changed their lives and the lives of their family and the lives of their people in their community and their employees by, taking that leap of faith and starting a business, right? So it's
Mm.
been really rewarding to be like a small part of that.
What's really cool is that I don't always talk to marketing leaders who have such a strong connection between uh, the purpose of what you're doing, like the actual thing that's being sold or marketed, and the work that they're doing. But how has that given you an advantage in terms of actually being emotionally connected to what's going on, what you're putting out into the world?
Well, I mean, it's a huge responsibility, especially at a company like ours. We have Perkins and Huddle House, and the very first thing that I did when I took over as, director of franchise marketing here is exactly what I did when Thomas Scott gave me my job at Brand Journalist, which is I called all of our franchisees and I
Uh-huh.
said, why did you buy? Would you buy again? What are your pain points? What are you struggling with? And I just wanted to know their stories. And I built our entire franchise marketing strategy based on that.
Yeah,
So that's been like the secret to our success here. So um, we have such a responsibility because people are investing real money, they're investing real time, and we want to make sure that they're going to be set up for success.
yeah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So besides that, or in addition to that, what else do you love about or enjoy about the discipline of marketing leadership and the role you're in? Why is this called you?
Well, I think that I've always also loved research and reading. And I know that people that are interested in franchising spend an enormous amount of time researching the concepts that they're interested in. For example, if you have your franchise website, if you're in friend of, that's your most important asset because your prospects will go there over and over and over again, and they'll spend hours consuming every single thing that's on your site. They'll read every single press release, they'll read every single article, good and bad. And, as the person in charge of the marketing, you have a responsibility to make sure that what your message is and defining your message and your value proposition, and then telling a emotionally compelling story that people can soak up and believe in, and then believe in enough to invest money, invest time, and get the doors open. So
Totally.
yeah.
Under your leadership during your time there, what is one thing you can point to that you'd say, you're pretty proud about? It's working really well in terms of fulfilling the business case.
So I mean, I'm so proud of the fact that over the last, I would say the 2 years that I've been here, we have had record-breaking years in friend of growth. Like it's been, uh, you know, um, my boss right now, our chief development officer, Peter Ortiz, um, has been amazing at just like letting me, do what I do best, which is, this is what we need. We need a great franchise website. We need great PR. We need great lead gen strategy. And he's let me, take all these things that I've been doing over the last 10 years at Brand Journalist and then, applying them here in my role at Perkins and Huddle House. And that's really
Yeah.
proof is in the pudding. I mean, last year we sold, 46 agreements, and this year we're on pace to double that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Besides the autonomy and the trust that you've been given, can you point to any reasons why you've seen that growth beyond, macroeconomic factors, but is there anything unique to the way your team handles their business or puts in place tactically, perhaps, to make that a reality?
Yeah, I mean, we have an amazing team at Perkins and Huddle House. You know, we have a great new CEO, James O'Reilly. The two brands have great new presidents. Perkins is Tony Renane, and Huddle House is Blaine Shortreed. There's been a lot of great hires, great additions to the team. There's, that getting the right people in the right seats. We have that now. And it's taken off as a result. I mean, we have a lean and mean friend of team, but everybody has their own superpowers. And so,
Yeah.
we're able to kind of flourish as a result.
Look at you, just a level five leader. I ask, what are you doing to create? The first things you say is, "Wow, I got this great CEO, got the great team, great right people in the right seats." And I laugh, but that's isn't that so much part of the recipe of success is, and maybe how you see your mandate is getting right people in right seats and creating an environment in which they can flourish, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I was able to do at Brand Journalists. By the time I left that, I was kind of running the shop there. I was hiring people and, being a mentor. I was like the old guy in the room. And now here, in a director position, I'm reporting to all these people, but I see such a big difference in, who I'm reporting to, and their passion for the business. And as a result, our prospects, they really believe in everything that we're doing. For example, with Perkins, we rolled out beautiful new prototypes, that has enabled us to, create a whole new series of messaging and marketing collateral, and has driven significant interest in investing in Perkins. And the same is going on with Huddle House right now too. So it's super exciting.
Well, that's great. I mean, with doubling the amount of deals sold, there's in the States, I mean, there is a lot of different brands that you can tap into if you want to be a franchise owner. And to get that flow into you guys, something's going right, right?
For sure. Yeah.
That's cool. On the other side, Michael, what's your personal biggest challenge right now, or your team's biggest challenge, and how are you guys looking at it, reading the label from outside the jar?
Well, I mean, um, it's the same with everybody in Frandev. It's always, am I talking to enough? Do I have enough qualified leads?
Yeah.
Uh, am I getting people through the funnel fast enough? And where am I losing people? We track every single thing. I don't wear these glasses just for show. Like I'm an actual super nerd. So we track every single thing. In terms of qualified leads, our ratio of applications to applications that we get back. All the way through the funnel.
Yeah.
And so we know exactly what our pain points are. I think also a big struggle for us is, getting people to know that Perkins is, we have launched this new fast casual concept, Girdle and Go, that Perkins is back and we're better than ever. And, we still have a lot of runway, to get our message out there.
Yeah. That when you talk about awareness, you're not necessarily talking about awareness of the brand, but awareness of how the brand has evolved and the new things coming. And how long has that been the case? Like I know Perkins, but I'm trying to understand like, well, how long has that been an issue?
Yeah, I mean, like my boss Peter Ortiz says that when he got here, Perkins was like, stuck in 1974, and it's true. And like, I grew up going to Perkins with my grandma and my dad, in New Jersey, and if you visit the restaurants, in Florida right now, like, a lot of them are stuck in the past. And so we needed a new wave of leadership to come in and kind of refresh the brand and elevate it and take it to um, a level where entrepreneurs would feel comfortable investing, the next 10, 20 years of their lives as franchise owners. And
Yeah,
that's exactly what they've done. And so my job now is to try to connect to the franchise buying audience that we've done that and that this is an awesome opportunity, you know?
cool. And tactically, what are some of the things you've tried to sort of rewrite this script on who Perkins is and what the opportunity holds for potential franchisees?
Well, just updating every single piece of marketing collateral we have, from our website to our digital ads, to who we're targeting, to our press releases. We're making sure that any positive news is blasted out and shouted from the mountaintops. Making sure that we have a great cadence of press releases, and then you know making sure that we're touching every single one of our prospects on a regular basis, through email blasts and things of that nature.
Yeah. You talk a lot about your previous experiences in journalism and how you've been able to leverage that as a superpower, but also matching that up with this genuine curiosity that you have for the people and the reasons behind which they show up, and that's been leveraged effectively in leading this function and leading this team. What would you at least be willing to admit is an Achilles heel for you, an area of weakness as a marketing leader? And what do you do to sort of with that?
Well, I've been really lucky to have incredible mentors, all of whom tell me the truth. So, including my current boss. So I'll think that I have come up with like the cleverest headline or something, and then he'll just be like, "That is terrible. It needs to say this," and he's always exactly right, because friend of people are always the best editors. They get right to the point right away. And someone that comes from like a journalist background, we will write, we'll overwrite. I'm definitely guilty of over explaining things, or like thinking things too much, or getting a little neurotic about what I'm writing.
Right.
And so, having a person that's clear enough to be able to be an editor. I think everybody needs an editor, no matter where you are in life.
Right. Like
Yeah.
a personal
My,
editor and
yeah.
anything you put out in.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious, how long have you now been in this posting?
Um, 2 years and change.
Okay. Is there anything that you have learned about yourself as a person or as a professional over that course of time that, had you known that that was going to be the case before you started, you'd be like, that's shocking. What have you learned about yourself?
Well, I've learned that I'm able to do franchise sales now, which is something that I've always wanted to do. And my boss Peter, um, he saw that I had like an engine for this, and that I had a curiosity about talking to people. And he was like, you could parlay that skill set into, actually selling franchises. And it has allowed me to connect to the marketing in a way that removes any abstraction. So I don't have to hear from our sales team like, our leads are bad. I know when the leads are bad because I'm calling them. And
Right.
so I'm able to like make decisions on the fly and be much more nimble, about what we're doing, because I'm also doing what they're doing. So
That's cool. So you're almost pre-qualifying them before they go to the sales team. That's not a traditional thing to do, right? It's usually marketing is here's, and then you figure it out if they're qualified or not. Tell me about
yeah,
that.
no, it's been awesome. So I mean, you know, just like they do that, I get leads to call, and then I will move them all the way through the process. I actually just sold my first franchise a couple days ago, 10
Nice.
unit deal, in New Jersey, which is like 10 minutes away from where I'm from. So I'm super excited about that.
Is it one of the locations that you used to go to, or is it new construction?
It's going to be all new stores. So all new Griddle and Go concept. But in Monmouth County, New Jersey, which is where I grew up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about team a little bit, from your perspective, what are some of the critical ingredients for any marketing leader, but maybe ones that you've relied on in terms of creating this environment of empowerment, autonomy, encouragement? Like, because half of your job is a leader of people too.
Well, right now, I don't have any people that report to me.
Okay.
So I'm a player on our friend dev team.
Okay.
It's been, it's been awesome to go from, leading an agency to becoming a player on the bench.
Yeah.
It's been actually really good for me.
Yeah.
I've been able to take everything that I've learned at a previous role, apply it here, and then have a leadership team now that believes in me, that is giving me a lot more responsibility. So
Yeah.
it's like, having two different origin stories, if you will.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, totally.
What I
And
mean?
so, but there's a lot of team engagement. So with the key stakeholders that you would work with on a day-to-day basis, what do you believe is really important in playing that effective player role, but amongst a team? Like, what does stakeholder integration approach look like to you?
I've always been of the mind that, you have to believe people. You have to be a good listener. You have to trust that people are there, and they know what they're doing, and you just have to find a way to support them. So if you all share the same mission and you're all the right people in the right seats, then life becomes really easy.
Yeah.
You're all just working together, and it becomes this very fluid thing. And
Yeah.
luckily, that's what we have here.
Why else do you think? Because this is a topic that's important to me as well. Getting the right people in the right seats. Why do you bring that up so many times? What have you seen as a byproduct positively of focusing on that? Because not everyone does that. It's like put a body in a seat and then figure it out.
Yes. Well, I mean, because people make all the difference, and people um, can make or break a team. One bad apple on a team can, spoil the whole. It can spoil the whole bunch, really. I mean, I've seen it in my role at brand journalist, where if we didn't have the right person in charge of getting new clients, or if we didn't have the right person in charge of web design, we were going to suffer, and there was nothing anybody could do to counter it.
Right.
So, you know, but once you have the right team, cultivating a culture where everything is open and collaborative, and everybody, respects and supports each other, that's the best case scenario. That's what I'm lucky to have right now.
Yeah. Leave us with this, Michael. For your career and looking out over the next year or 2 years, what is something that you have really pinpointed as an area that you're excited about growing into and developing deeper or improving on? Like what's next for you in terms of your vision for your career?
Well, I would like to, continue to hone my uh, career in friend dev sales, and combine that with marketing. I mean, I love this industry so much. I don't think that I could. I don't think I want to do anything else.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
really it's incredible, and for something that I stumbled across. Um, it's been a really rewarding thing to be a part of, because like literally every single time I'd pick up the phone and talk to somebody who's interested in buying a Perkins or Huddle house, or talk to one of our franchise owners, I'm just constantly reminded that, we have such an enormous impact, a life-changing impact. Um, and there's nothing more rewarding than that.
Totally. When you can marry those two things together and the line becomes blurred in terms of humanity and the work I'm doing, I think that that's
Yeah,
a pretty sweet spot.
for sure. I mean, a lot of people, are in jobs that they're not passionate about or feel disconnected to. And I could not feel um, further the opposite. I mean, I wake up every day like super excited to just, start the day and like start doing what I'm doing.
Man, that's encouraging. That's a great message for our audience. Michael, thank you so much for spending this time with us and giving us a small peek into the way you're playing the game of marketing leadership. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.